at that part of my life, it's 2010. I want to say the workers came through while I was living at uh, the projects, and they came out with their hot dogs and all that, this stuff. And people were signing up, and what they was came to do, they was educating us on this new law. Right, it's new law. It was an act, a 1963 act that said 30% of all new hires must be low and very low income people. Because at this time, it was dismantling the projects. Unfortunately, man, I was not there when they came out and did the signing. People were signing up, but the people that signed up, one of the guys that signed up at the table with the Worker Center, told him about me. So if you want to talk to somebody in the community, you need to go talk to Alfred. And unfortunately, this white lady came and knocked on my door, Colette Tippy, and I was doing the work already. I was in my house at the time, throwing up our plan on how we was gonna get those jobs. And unfortunately, that didn't work out so well. But I started, inviting Miss Colette in and listened to what she said, and I learned about that act. That was an old act, 1968. I say 63. It was a 1968 HUD Act that said that 30% of all new hires must be low and very low income people. That was our jobs. Through learning that, I began to organize my community around these are our jobs. We was literally living across the street from the site where it was being built. But learning that act allowed me have confidence to go to my people. I had something to work with. And, and they said, yeah, yeah. And we started going to city council. We went to Hannah once a week, and we wasn't asking them no more. We was demanding those jobs because the act said that 30% have to be new hires from that community. And doing the work, people started organizing and speaking for themselves. Went to city council, said, "Yep, these are our jobs." And unfortunately, what that act did was it allowed us to get the jobs, 30% of them. But the only thing was they hire you and they was able to fire you because all it was, the act was, you must hire those people. So they did the hiring. And right after that, a month later, they fired everybody, but they met the 30%.
So they would only, most people were only there for 4 to 6 weeks or so?
4 to 6 weeks, that's the most.
Yeah. No one else
Yeah.
was stayed on or was hired permanently?
I was able to stay on because I was an advocate for the people, and I stood in the newspaper, because most of those guys came in. You in New Orleans, man. It's 2012, man, and guess what? It's 107 degrees out there, and those guys was making $8.01 an hour. So I organized those guys again around that. Where we went after, the employee. The contract, the general, on that job, and in 2 days, those guys went from 801 to $11 an hour. You see what organizing does when you come together? We was able to shift that day from 801 to $11 within 2 days. They following check, they was able to get that $11 an hour on their check.
What do you think convinced people who might have been afraid to speak up on that job?
I think people was excited to have a job, and they didn't want to lose their job, and they was more afraid. So they would come bring me this situation to me, and say, "Look, man, I'm having this situation with the boss man or with this contractor, right? He's not treating us right, giving us all the dirty jobs and whatnot." So they would come to me, and I would just during our lunch break say, "Man, let's all go eat together." And we'll sit down and eat together and discuss what the issue was. You don't have to be afraid. But they wouldn't speak up on the site. I would go speak to the contractor. I was the man to go to and was not scared to voice my opinion. I didn't worry about it.
Because those were federal contractors, right? So they should have been following like the federal wage guidelines, right?
Of course,
I
of
don't know
course.
if they were at $8 at that point, but it seems pretty low.
It was very low, and it was not following the federal guideline. It was not. These some like the guy was the electrician worker they supposed to have prevailing wages. Those guys wasn't getting prevailing wages. They would come to me to talk about, and we'll bring those. We brought the electrician contractor into City Hall and made him pay back pay them goose back money. Had to pay back money because that's what organizing did, right? Because they weren't going according to the guideline.
And because so many people were temporarily employed, did that lead you into any other campaigns to try to figure out how they could either get skilled professions or permanent work? How did that semi-victory lead you into the next organizing campaign?
What happened was we found out that, okay, we don't need jobs, we need careers.